What is up, everybody? Welcome back. The finish line of the season is in sight as we head to Brazil with a 43-point lead in the championship. So an opportunity to clinch the championship with this race today, not have to take it all the way to Abu Dhabi. So let's take a peek. We do have one more development failure because it wouldn't be an episode without a development failure because everything breaks all the time. But we do have a couple of things that are good to go. Now, the way we are set up in the points right now, basically, if we finish ahead of Sergio Perez, we will clinch the championship that way. Or as long as we come fifth or better, even if he wins and takes fastest lap, if we can come fifth or better, then we will clinch and lock out the championship. So that's kind of our goals for this point. Now, development-wise, we took a big jump with those couple of things coming in. We were pretty flatlined for a few races. But we are still only the third best car on the grid, but it is very tight between us, McLaren, and Racing Point. And so we've got the freshest bits of engine going on as we can, so let's take those worn bits out to qualifying.
So it's time for qualifying here at Interlagos, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. The teams have completed their preparations and are just waiting for the pit lane to open before they take to the track. When it comes to getting lap time out of this circuit, it's traditionally been about maximising top speed. Do you simply remove as much downforce as possible, hang on into the corners and max out down the straights?
The teams will have arrived with all manner of parts designed to capitalise on the long straights. The cars will be that much harder to drive in the corners, but everyone will be in the same boat.
Alright, so here we are out starting our first flying lap as the engine screams at max revs down those long front straight and slow it right down to get through the Senna S. Now here we are whipping out this long left-hander and onto the back straight, which is the next big overtaking opportunity around this track. Hit the brakes around the 75-meter point, almost where that little entry road is. It's a good spot. Try not to exit too early as that exit comes up very quickly. Now we're into Sector 2, which is nice and technical as you work up and down the little hill sections. Lots of low-speed corners, areas that you can really slip the tires and cause a lot of excess tire wear. So if you can be gentle on the throttle and on your steering inputs, you can really make the tires last a lot longer than some of the AIs do. But the turns are nicely cambered. You kind of lean into them pretty well, and now get down this little short run into the final real braking zone corner of the track. There are a couple more kinks as we come up the hill down this long front quote-unquote straight, as there are some movements to it, but the DRS flips open. We come through this long banked corner and up the hill here as we cross the finish line. That puts us P1 in Q1, the fastest lap on our real kind of banker run. But as we head to the end of the session here, we've fallen as far down as P9, as everybody's gotten a little quicker as the track has gotten faster as it is rubbered in. Q1 probably sees some of the biggest time variances between the totally green track and then a track that is finally rubbered in. But we are picking up about 3/10 there. We'll see where that puts us and kind of give us an idea of where we're going to be at P10. So that's kind of where we're looking for Q2. So here we are jumping right out to it. We let a few minutes burn in so the other cars could get out their first kind of banker lap, so we'd have some empty track to live on for our medium tire run. The goal here is to get the medium tire run in and then get in the pits as quickly as possible, get onto the softs in case we need it, because right now we are 1.2 seconds off the pace and we are in 12th. So on the mediums at the moment, not in a position to make it through into Q3. So here we are finishing the back-to-back laps. Really didn't make an improvement. The back sector really didn't do much for us. Only a 0.071 improvement. Now with only about 4.5 minutes left in the session, we got to kind of hustle our way around. So you see we got out onto the soft tires. Now we're doing our third flying lap of the session here. We were able to just kind of get in before the checkered flag waves right now. But through Sector 1, we're already up about 3.5 tenths. The extra grip of those soft tires definitely making a big difference around this track. So on the unfortunate side, we are not going to be able to do the alternate strategy that we have liked to do in the past. We are going to be running a pretty similar strategy to everybody else in the top 10, starting on the medium tires, because we have plenty enough of a improvement going coming into this last sector here to jump ourselves into the top 10. We're only about 6/10 off of the best lap overall right now, and we are already improving by about 7/10, so we are closing up the gap quite a bit here. So we'll cross the line, we'll see what that gives us. Are we going to be in the top 10 shootout? Yeah, P4. So the soft tires definitely rocketed us up the grid pretty nicely. So since we're going to be starting on the soft tires that we've already used, we're coming out for our first flying lap, and we have to kind of dodge some traffic. Carlos Sainz holds us up just a little bit coming into the meat of Sector 2 there, but we managed to get clear of him pretty decently, just have to run a little bit out wide. And there you see it. Sergio Perez with the fastest lap so far in the session. Provisional pole for him in the early stages. We'll see if we can get up there and get past him. We are slightly faster than him at the moment. We are 0.067 at the last sector split. We are running a little bit lower downforce, I think, than a lot of other cars. We are pretty high up in the speed trap, so we should have a good run out of the last sector. Yet we, for a moment, have the fastest lap right before Valtteri takes it over. But here we are, back-to-back laps. We're running out. We are another about half second improved across the line. Leclerc had gone quite quick. So there we are, 0.1 off of him. We get on the brakes nice and early to let Sainz go through since he's on a flying lap. We don't want to hold him up. And here we are as the checkered flag is out. We are improving. We improved a little bit through the Sector 2 split, but it's very close on the delta here. Right now we're sitting P4 on the grid. We'll see if we can improve crossing the line there. Nope, we stay P4, so a second row start is not bad, especially since we need to finish top 5 to clinch a championship.
With qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Leclerc, Vettel and Carlos Sainz. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
And there you see Sergio Perez 2 slots back of us, starting P6, so he's right behind us on the grid, the next row back.
Where there's a will, well, there's a way. And nowhere has that fact been better demonstrated over the years than here at Interlagos. Remember Senna winning while fighting a gearbox that was jammed in 6th? 5 Drivers' Championship deciders in a row between 2005 and 2009. And of course, the passionate Brazilian fans packing the grandstands to capacity every year. And they're not about to stop now. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. 2 very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the 2 DRS zones will be the key to any overtaking prospects today. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and starting alongside him P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have old-timer Bottas, Sergio Perez, and Norris, Hamilton, Magnussen, Russell, and Nico Hülkenberg. Sainz, they've taken a grid penalty. Albon, Romain Grosjean, and Butler, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Lucas Faber, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Verstappen and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
The team are expecting a lot after your podium last race. Concentrate on getting into the points and push on from there.
Will do, Jeff. We're taking a look at these strategies. We'll go soft onto medium, I think is the best way to do it. We just need to kind of keep our car out of trouble. We don't necessarily have to race anybody super hard. in order to claim the championship here. So tough start coming up the hill, just waiting for those rear tires to hook up. You see Bottas goes down the inside of us, Perez around the outside, now Norris attacking down the inside. We're going to go and squeeze him against that left apex there to kind of snag the position from him, but we've dropped behind Sergio Perez. But we are still in 5th, so it's not anything too much to worry about. We do want to kind of defend from Lando Norris here. So we move to the inside a little bit and kind of go defensive into that turn 4. But as everybody kind of straightens out and levels off, we kind of find our way through the field here and just kind of settle down and relax a little bit, kind of try and save some tires so that we can push on these softs a little later on in the stint as other cars start to fall off, because we are running the same tires this time. So normally, instead of our strategy of going out on mediums and waiting for their tires to fall off and then kind of reeling them in, we're all running the same tire setup right now, so probably going to have a very similar pit strategy. We got a little touch on the back end of Valtteri, and that kind of steps the back end out a little bit, and so that's going to cost us down the straight now. With our little bit lower downforce setup, not hugely lower downforce, but we do have a good straight line speed. So I think if we can, even without DRS, if we can get up close to somebody coming out of that final corner, we can catch that slipstream and really run up behind him and make a good move down that long straight. But we do still have Lando Norris right behind us, who is catching our slipstream and going to have a look, try and get past us, but he's not quite close enough. So once DRS becomes enabled, we are going to have to kind of worry about that a little bit. But it is just going to be a matter of trying to stay within that 1 second gap of Valtteri in front of us and keeping the tires alive and utilizing that DRS. But you see back end stepping out big time as we get on the brakes there. Some of these corners had a real issue with the rear end locking before the front. So the back end was really stepping out on me on a lot of these slower corners. So definitely had to kind of drive around it, play around with the brake bias settings, but I didn't want to mess with them too much because in the high-speed brake zones, it was much better to have that brake bias a little bit more balanced. But in those slow-speed corners, I was really locking up the rears pretty aggressively.
Race officials have enabled DRS. DRS is now available.
See that back end kind of really stepping around. You see I've got the brake bias up to 60% front at the moment. Usually I like to start off a race on 58 and then only go to 60 once stuff starts to really wear out, but I think these soft tires are wearing a little bit quicker than I would like to around the track right now. But we managed to defend from Lando there as he had DRS down there. We were within 1 second through the detection zone, so before we had our bit of oversteer moment through the Senna S's, but deep again. You see Lando looking up the inside. We're going to go side by side with him. We're going to hold the inside. We're just going to kind of swing our exit out wide enough, wait for him to slot in behind us. So a couple early mistakes for us is really causing a bit of trouble keeping with this pack, and I think we're pretty close to falling outside of 1 second of Valtteri there. So we might be under attack down the next DRS straight here, but let's turn everything up engine-wise. Let's utilize that straight line speed that we've got and see if we can't keep Norris behind us. See Valtteri and Perez now going side by side in front of us. The two Ferraris have kind of really opened up quite a bit of a gap ahead of us. Obviously taking 1-2 on the qualifying positions there. They just had tremendous speed around Brazil here, but here we go. In the slipstream, DRS open. Perez already passed Valtteri, and so we're going to lunge it up the inside and get by him as well. So now we're up into P4. We still have Perez in front of us, and we really just want to keep Perez in our sights as much as possible in this early stage of the race. We don't want him to run off and catch the lead while we fall further and further into the clutches of cars behind us. If we can stay right behind him, we'll be in plenty good shape to take home the championship. Now we are within 1 second of him here, 0.6 at the sector split, and he is well outside of a second of the cars in front of him. So if we can get a good run here, we're going to be able to attack him with the DRS this time by. So here you go, wing flips open. You hear that beep. Hit the button to open that rear wing. We're getting a good run. Not quite going to be enough ground to close up on him, so we're onto the brakes there. into the braking zone and just kind of carry the speed through the Senna S's, set up for the next DRS zone. So there we go, flip that wing open once again. So we close up, not quite close enough into the braking zones there. We got to get out of it a little bit early. So now we just got to kind of relax and hold position. There's not a lot of room to make moves through this technical second sector here unless somebody swings really wide on a particular corner and really opens the door up for you. It's pretty much single file through a lot of these corners for the optimum line. Otherwise, you're just going to lose a ton of time and a ton of speed coming onto a lot of these straight lines. And here we are through this very quick downhill left-hander, totally flat in qualifying. In the dirty area, you got to kind of manage the throttle a little bit, and then if you're on the heavier fuel load, same thing. But here we are, much closer this time through the DRS detection zone. So we're going to flip that wing open, use as much slipstream as we can. Now we're going to swing to the outside and get well past him into the braking zone so we can take the normal racing line. He's a little tighter through turn 1, but we kind of cover him in turn 2. But now he's going to have DRS on us. So we are already moving towards the inside of the track. He's going to kind of look up. We didn't get there soon enough to cover him down the inside. So we're just going to have to kind of hang it out around the outside. We give him space on the apex there, but it's not going to be quite enough for him to lunge up the inside of us. And we cover off on the exit and manage to hold now P3 off in front of him. So through the slow second sector, very easy to light up the rear tires exiting some of these corners. So it's definitely an area you want to be very careful in to keep your tires alive and not wear them out too much. But we are about 3 seconds back of Vettel now, and Perez is almost a full second back. So we should be just fine. So jumping ahead a little ways, lap 13 of 36 here. We've managed to open up a tremendous gap to Perez. He's almost 4 seconds now behind us, and we are really starting to reel in Sebastian Vettel in front of us. You see that red dot in the pit lane? Looks like Leclerc is diving in from the lead in order to grab his next set of tires, and we are running a little bit longer than the 2 Ferraris, it would seem, but we are definitely starting to reel in Sebastian. Our tire save strategy early in the stint is really coming into its own at this point because we've really starting to dive in and really reel him in. See, we're actually set our fastest first sector of the day, and Perez is still hanging out or now it's George Russell rather. George Russell's made his way up into third place. I thought it was Perez because I was looking at the pink dot there. Just was not expecting something must have happened to Perez because he's fallen way off, or he must have come in. But Verstappen is out, and now we've got a safety car out.
Reduce your pace. Keep your delta number positive as we form up. Check your MFD for a new strategy option. Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace.
Man, Jeff's got a lot to say right now with that safety car coming out.
Understood.
Our original strategy was to pit on lap 16. It's only lap 14 now, so we'll definitely be able to keep our same strategy. No real adjustments. We just are diving in 2 laps earlier. And basically, by the time we spend under the safety car, we will be restarting the race on lap roughly 16, I think. So not really taking any extra wear out of those medium tires. So we're just going to go ahead and get onto those. It looks like Vettel is onto the hard tire behind us. Right now, he will pass us by, but we're going to go onto the mediums and have a little bit of a tire advantage at this early stage. So we'll see who makes it past us through the pit stop phases here. As the safety car comes out, but we should be able to slot in and be in a pretty good spot. Our pit strategy is complete for the day, and it looks like, what do we got? We are P4 at the moment, so we are coming out inside the top 5. Leclerc and Vettel in front of us, and coming around the corner, that is the Williams. That is our teammate Nico Hülkenberg, still out on his starting set of hard tires. So he is going to kind of control the field for us and hold up these leaders, I think, in the early stages of this before he comes to dive in for his pit stop and kind of drop down the order. And just as I expected, here we are jumping to lap 16. The safety car is coming in. We're just waiting for Nico to get this party started. There he goes. He accelerates. We get on the throttle. We are in overtake mode. We lose a tiny bit of ground at the start, but once we get the traction down over those hard tires, catch a little bit of slipstream, we're going to be able to dive up the inside of Leclerc into turn 1 and take that position off of him nice and quickly. So definitely that tire advantage and that straight line speed advantage were big for us in the restart. Basically timed it pretty much on the money to make that position up, and he's getting swallowed up by George Russell now. He's falling back a little ways as well. Looks like another orange dot has made its way past the Ferrari of Leclerc, so big missed opportunities for Leclerc there, unfortunately. Him being just out of position through the Senna S's at the start of the lap really harmed his restart, and that's going to put him in a bad way. It looks like, according to the mini-map, it looks like the second pink dot of Perez is behind Leclerc right now, so we are quite a ways in front of our championship rival, the only one still mathematically in the championship race. So we are in a very good spot right now, and here we are coming down the front straight once again in the slipstream of Vettel here. No DRS yet, another lap before it gets enabled. Are we going to be able to make a move into the braking zone? Not quite close enough. Not enough of a run, but he is right up the tail of our teammate Nico Hülkenberg. And so here we are jumping ahead, lap 19 now. Nico is still out in the front of this pack. Haven't quite been able to make our way by Vettel, but that's fine. We are opening a huge gap to the cars behind us, and Lando Norris coming through almost 3 full seconds back. But now with DRS enabled, we're going to have a look and try and make our way through as quickly as possible. Try and get past, utilize these better compounded tires. We have a little look to the inside, but not enough room. Vettel goes to the inside to try and make the move on Hülkenberg. We're going to switch back and try and follow him through. We're not quite close enough to really tuck in, but we are going to have DRS down this straight here. Open up that wing. Now we just got to kind of pick a side, so we're going to get on the brakes. Hülkenberg locks up. We're just going to follow Vettel through. We're not going to go for a double overtake there. But the little mistake from Hülkenberg, I'm sure on those worn tires, puts us right up into second place here behind Sebastian Vettel. And then we just need to kind of settle down for a second. We've got 16 laps left to go in this race, and we should be able to take the lead off of Vettel the next time we hit the front straight. A little bit of a lockup into that slow right-hander, but with us having the DRS and the good straight line speed, we should be able to snag the lead from Sebastian and really just start opening up the gap as we come to the closing third of this race, essentially. So here we are, our wing is flipped up, and we dive to the inside. He kind of squeezes us near towards the pit wall entrance, but plenty of overspeed to get well past him onto the normal racing line into the braking zone for turn 1, and there we have it. We are back in the lead. Well, not back in the lead. We are in the lead of the Brazilian GP, and with this being our opportunity for the championship, it's a good place to be. So jumping ahead, starting lap 32, we opened up a pretty good gap, but it looks like Norris just went by Sebastian Vettel about 2 seconds back. We are starting to feel the effects of the tire deg on these medium tires, so the hards are really starting to kind of come into their own. At this point, we don't even need to win to take the championship. It would be nice. It would certainly be nice, but Lando Norris is really flying at this point. He's 2.1 seconds back. It looks like Vettel and him are battling a little bit. Here we are. Only a few laps left to go, so if they can keep fighting, then that should give us a good opportunity to win coming home. But it looks like Norris will finally get clear of him. We'll see if he's able to hold that position down the main straight, but it looks like he's already opening up a fair bit of a gap. So we'll see what the gap is at the next sector split here. He's 2.5 back, and Vettel is a half second back coming through that sector 2 split there, but we'll see. Is Vettel going to have enough straight line speed to run down Lando, or is Lando just going to increase the gap? And we'll see what it is at the split here. 2.4. He basically just held it.
8 seconds.
And really at this stage of the race, it's a lot of clock watching. Lap 33, and we're just kind of watching these sector splits. You can see just how much closer they are getting coming down this second straight there. And it's really just kind of a matter of keeping the car on track and keeping Lando behind us as much as we can. We don't want to fight him so much that we cause damage to our car, because a DNF would be absolutely brutal for us. Sergio Perez, I believe, is still running somewhere in the top 6, I think. I haven't had a chance to really find out, but I mean, really, he's not in a position to take the championship from us unless something drastic happens. So really, we are just all about risk and damage mitigation these last few laps of the race here. But you can see, definitely seeing that gap start to close down a little bit from Lando there. Not close enough for DRS yet, but as we cross the line to start lap 34, he is definitely starting to reel us in a little bit. So just from kind of mental time, looks to be about just around 2 seconds back. So he's eating about a half second into our lead. Maybe even about a second and a half. I'll have to wait till we switch to the in-car camera view to see the real sector split times to know. But so far, just kind of managing that little bit of a split. Vettel's not falling off either, but at this point, he's not in a position to really challenge Lando and slow him up at all. But we do know, according to the development chart, that McLaren is the fastest on the grid right now. So he's definitely got the car under him to really try and reel us in. We have a little bit of a mistake in that little bit of a lockup. That's going to cost us a bit of time coming on, and we run a little wide there, getting the 2 tires out onto the grass, so we aren't going to be able to get the throttle down this main straight, and you can see really, really reeled us in. So as we are getting very close to the last couple of laps now, lap 35, 2 laps left to go in this session. Lando Norris sets the fastest lap, reeling us in. So the same lap that we have a couple little mistakes, Lando Norris goes fastest and closes up to about a half-second gap. So now we are utilizing whatever fuel we have. He's going to have DRS, so we go to defensive to the inside into turn 4 a little bit later on the brakes and manage to hold him off once. That's 1 DRS attack that we've managed to survive thus far, and we go green in that first sector. So we are still turning good lap times. It's just that Lando Norris is turning faster lap times as those hard tires are keeping their life and as that fuel is really burning off in his car. We're carrying a little bit of extra weight. We didn't want to overheat the engine coming towards the tail end. We are already losing some performance, and the trade-off of running the rich fuel mixture of burning more fuel is you do get a little bit more power, but you do overheat the engine, which causes excess wear, and once it gets to a certain temperature point, you actually start losing performance. So it's almost kind of counterproductive to carry extra fuel and run rich mix all the time. You're actually going to lose time because you're overheating. But coming down the main straight, you're a little better exiting the final corner. So a better run down that straight, not attacked through the first DRS zone. But here we are a little slower through the Senna S's than Lando was. We're going to move the inside, go defensive once again. He's got that DRS wide open. Is he going to get alongside us into the braking zone? He's not quite able to make it stick that time, and we open up a little bit of breathing space there. So here we are, only a couple of corners left to go. Just can't leave the door open on any of these slow corners where you have to take kind of a wide entry. But otherwise, there's not really a way for him to get past us very easily. It's just going to be a matter of turning everything up down the last corners. You heard those rear tires lock a little bit. Even running 62% front brake bias at this stage. A lot of front bias. But the rear's still locked. But 0.4 back. Can we get the traction down? Get a good run before we hit that DRS zone. We've turned everything up. He's got the wing open, and he's closing up a little bit on us. We have a little peek behind us, but it's not going to be quite enough for him to catch us, and we've won catching our Drivers' Championship.
You are the Drivers' World Champion. Congratulations.
And with that, another year of Formula One draws to a close, and a new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers. It's a well-deserved victory for Williams then after that breathtaking Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
I kind of wish it let me do the donuts for the World Championship on my own, but, you know, I'll take seeing the car do donuts. But Ant was dead on. The safety car to perfection. Came out at the exact right time for us. A couple of other cars had pit in, but we were able to get onto those medium tires at just the right time.
Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. This also means that there's no catching our leader anymore, and we crown a new World Drivers' Champion. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Carlos Sainz would be my first choice for this race. He had excellent race stamina, giving him the opportunity to charge through the ranks.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship, where Williams have finally moved beyond the point of no return and have taken the Constructors' title. They are Formula One World Champions once again. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
Well, it's nice to be able to finally take the championship, and we also take the Constructors' Championship at the same time. So we'll have to see how everybody else shakes up. But it is a very tight race below us for 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the Drivers' Championship. So that is, by all means, not decided yet. So it looks like only about 10 points separating those 3 positions. So they should have something to race for in Abu Dhabi.
You must be thrilled.
I'm pretty thrilled. Thanks, Claire.
You took the top points today. Was it a comfortable win?
It was a decently comfortable win. I mean, it was just about managing the gap. But, I mean, the car, the engine, the team, it was all great. It was all great.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
I mean, mathematically this season, no. With this team, nobody can stop me now. I've clinched.
Lucas flew through the pack in that race. What's his secret?
I mean, you know, there's no real secret. He just works hard, practices, and he's a quick driver.
You've had experience with Devon's fast, aggressive style. Any advice for the drivers he passed today?
Yeah, you just have to be as determined as he is. I mean, a good car helps, but you just got to defend.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Thanks, Claire.
Great work this weekend. It was fantastic to see you up on that podium.
And the queen of understatement, Emma, welcome to the podium. You won a championship. I won the championship, Emma. Give me a break. We are going to have an invitational coming up to run as well. But now, thankfully, with Abu Dhabi coming up next, we don't have to worry about penalties. So we managed to keep the engines alive. And I think the next race, for the entertainment value, we are going to have one development coming in. We're going to go ahead and take 1 billion places worth of grid penalties, throw in a completely fresh engine, start from the back of the grid, and see what we can make happen from there. As you see right now, this current engine is really starting to show some yellow bits there around. So there you see the 2 trophies showing up, the nice graphics of them. But yeah, man, still a close fight for 3rd place in the championship. 2nd is locked down by Sergio Perez. But we'll have to see what the other cars can do and how far up the field can we make it, starting from the back of the grid at Abu Dhabi in the next race. Well, thank you for joining me over the course of this season. Come check out the next race because it'll definitely be interesting with this charge through the pack that I'll be attempting to run. But I will catch you guys next time. Peace.